Have you ever thought about doing a big remodel, like a kitchen remodel, removing walls or something extensive, and wondered how long will it take? What does the process look like? Today, we're interviewing an expert with Craft Builders, and we're going to get into the details, so stay tuned. All right, I'm Theresa here with Chris Beck from Craft Builder Construction. If you watched our video on solar installation, he's the same contact, but he also does home remodeling. So today, we're going to get into a little bit more details about big remodel projects and setting some expectations how to get started. So Chris, when someone calls and says, I want to redo my kitchen, can you tell me like timeline or process or how they should proceed and set expectations for themselves, maybe before they reach out to you, or what you do when clients reach out to you?
First thing really we do is kind of ask them if they're looking to rearrange the kitchen itself or just kind of update it. If they're looking for like cabinets and countertops, but still keep all the appliances and the sink and things like that in the same positions. Or if they wanted to redo the workstations. If you want to rearrange it completely and move walls and do all that, it's a very different approach. Let's think about that a little bit. That would be the kind of the first thing that we would want to ask you. I know a lot of people look online for, to get ideas on things. If there are certain things you found online in pictures for like inspiration pics, it'd be great to have those there. If you've already gone to look for tile or slabs or cabinetry designs or anything like that, if you have pictures of that stuff, it's always great to have that as well. That gives us a better idea of which direction you want to go in all the different aspects of the remodel.
Perfect. Okay. So let's go down the timeline or process for a big remodel. I know I'm personally planning one in a couple of years. I'm definitely taking out a wall and expanding into the dining room, probably rearranging the old design of a kitchenette and a dining room space into one large dining room and expanding the kitchen. What would be the typical process and timeline, and designers, architects, how does that all work?
Yep. Designers can help you in choosing a lot of things and then also laying out some of the floor space areas. Okay. If you are doing a remodel where it involves structural walls in the house being removed or modified, then we'll need to get an architect and an engineer involved as well. Those are all different areas that we work with, several different ones, architects, engineers, designers. And so we can refer you to those people or take care of it for you either way you want.
Just a quick question. How do you know if a wall is structural or not? Because it sounds like that's when you need the architect, right?
But yes, the architect says, so when we submit the application or drawings, when you're modifying any wall that is structural, I can go how to check that out. That's something we can do for you, really, actually, as far as telling you if it's a structural element or not. It'll depend on the foundation layout. We just have to look at it. I mean, that's something that we would know based on the foundation design, where the wall placement is, if it's supporting any part of the roof or exterior walls or things like that. But we'll take a look at that and let you know if that's going to be needed or not. If it is, then we'll get the architect involved first. They would go through and move that wall location. They'll have to draw it out on plans that get submitted to the city for the permit. The architect does his portion first, then the structural engineer does their calculations and specifies the different, sizes of lumber and sizes of foundation, all the different things that those engineers do, all the math behind the design. And then that all gets submitted to the city and to apply when you apply for the permit. And then the city takes their time. They do their review, which typically is 30 days, but sometimes it can be longer.
And it depends on the city, I assume?
Very much, yeah. Some cities are very quick and turn them around in 30 days or less. Some of them can take several months. I know there was some situations in some cities where, the average turnaround from the time we submit till we got the permit was up to like 6-7 months.
Wow.
So that has gotten better. That was during kind of the COVID crazy. So it was definitely, everybody trying to work from home and figure out that whole process. But yeah, you never know. It depends on the city, and anywhere from 30 days to 6 months, depending on where you are.
Okay. So is that something, the initial appointment, you can let people know, hey, in your area, you got a plan that's going to be 6 months, maybe, or 4 months for a permit?
Sure.
Because that is a huge difference, 30 days to up to 6 months, right?
Yep. And that's the city process alone. So once we meet with a customer, then we have, once we get signed with, yes, we're going to do this, we're going to sign with this architect, he's going to do these drawings. So the architectural process can be a couple of months as well. It all just depends on how quickly or how much you're changing, and then also how fast the architect can get a design that you like and have decided, okay, that this is what we want. Once you have that, then it goes into that 30 days to 6 month process with the city. Yeah. So there's still the design phase that's in front of that application phase as well.
Okay, so we've got design phase. So this is all if there's a structural change, right? So
yeah,
identifying that, hiring an architect, the design phase for the architect, then the permitting process. All of this, you've not touched the house at all, right?
That's correct.
Just planning at this point.
That's right.
In conjunction with these steps, can the homeowner be working with a designer and picking out materials and ordering other specifics for the work, or how does that process work?
Yep. For if you want to start picking out all your finishes, you can go, put slabs on hold from your wherever you're going to be getting your materials, your tile and your stone. You can start your cabinetry design. Once we have the architectural and the structural layout finished, as far as the floor plan or what you want to do for that kitchen or additional bedroom or whatever it is you're wanting to do, we can start picking all those finishes out. And you can do that with a designer. You can do that in-house with a lot of suppliers that we use. They will help you. They know exactly what they have and what's available and how fast it's available. So they can really help you in choosing and mixing and matching the different components together that work well together.
Got it. So just to clarify, for efficiency, you can do that while the permitting process is going on. Assuming, obviously if they come back and there's some changes, you might have to tweak things a bit. But
yeah, typically you'll want to have at least the floor plan completed so you know the layout of the kitchen. So like the sink's over here, the ovens are over here. This is what my cabinetry layout is going to look like. If we have that part done, then we'll be able to know how much slab you need or how much tile you need, things like that. So you can start going to pick all that stuff out and putting some of it on hold or things like that.
Perfect.
Or even purchasing some of it. You can purchase your faucets or your sink or your appliances. Appliances are a big one, because some of the appliances have historically had really long lead times again. So I think a lot of the lead times are getting better on everything. Like windows went from, some manufacturers were up to 4, 5, 6 months on a window or a group package of windows. And now they're down to the 1 to 2 month again, so it just, not all of them, but some of them are. So it's just something to keep in mind. There are certain things that have longer lead times in it, but it always depends on which ones you're getting, what brands in appliances. There were some brands that were out a year on ranges, and those windows have gotten smaller, but you still got to plan for them.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like there's just so many variables. You have to be flexible when you're starting a big project like this, right?
A little bit.
Okay, so you have a deadline
walk
in
you
mind.
through all that stuff.
Difficult. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, obviously for a big remodel, a permit needs to be done. Do you do smaller jobs that maybe a permit isn't necessarily required? Where does that line, where is that differentiated? I guess it's maybe even by city. What do you know? Is there a rule of thumb?
It's by city. Most of the jobs we do will require a permit because in most authority AHJs or authority having jurisdiction or city or county or whatever it is, it's going to be anything that's over a certain dollar amount of work. And in some cases, it's if we're doing anything in a certain trade that they require a permit for it. It does vary by jurisdiction. Yeah, most of the time permits are necessary.
So my understanding from experience of selling real estate is anything electrical, plumbing, like you're moving any of that stuff, always a permit. You're adding square footage, always a permit. Removing a structural wall, always a permit, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. If you're doing some finish items, then you may not need a permit for it. Yeah. But always either way should be, in our opinion, it should be hiring a licensed contractor too. And checking with your CSLB and making sure that the person you are hiring has the proper license for the work you're doing, as well as the correct insurance for his employees and workers' comp. If that stuff is not there, then you're taking on the liability. If somebody were to get injured in your house, then you can be opening yourself up to lawsuits. So always check that.
Yeah, that's really important. Good tip. Thank you. So if you were to do what you proposed in the very beginning, like a light kitchen remodel, you're not moving anything, you're just updating. Maybe you're even doing new cabinets, but everything's staying in the same place. Does that require a permit?
Yep, still would require a permit because there is going to be plumbing and electrical happening. Yeah, you're still going to need to get a permit. Yep, even updating. If all you're doing is like countertops and leaving everything else the same and you're not changing anything else, then you're probably fine. Okay. But as soon as you do go into cabinetry, then you're affecting your appliances and your outlets, your receptacles in the kitchen. So you're your plumbing for moving your sink or replumbing or repiping the sink area, you're going to need a permit for that stuff again.
Got it. Because you're updating to current code. So when your kitchen was built, is probably not current code, right? It's grandfathered.
Yep, could be. And there's many times that's the case. And a lot of times we end up having to add receptacles over the countertop space because older codes didn't require the distance or the quantity of receptacles that's required now. Now we have to abide by having them so many feet apart, within distance, so many feet of a corner, things like that over the countertops, and having GFI. I mean, there's lots of different things that are different now that weren't that way when your house was built.
Okay. So taking a slightly different direction, do you have clients who live in the house during some of these major remodels? How does that work? What do you recommend?
Most of the time we do. That's typically the case. We have some that move out. We do like we're doing a second story addition right now and remodeling the house completely. So obviously they moved out. They were lucky enough to be able to have rented the house right next door to their house. So that was very cool.
Yeah.
We've done some remodels where the whole house or half the house was taken down to where the roof's gone, the walls are gone, everything's gone. But literally between the garage and the master bedroom and bathroom, those were still standing. They literally had to walk from the master bedroom to get to the garage, where they would walk outside inside their house, but so now it's outside actually.
Yeah.
To get to their garage, but they still lived there.
Wow, that's hardcore.
Yeah, so it really depends on the appetite for the homeowner. Okay. Everybody to each their own. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to make it easier to do as well. When it comes to a kitchen, people, and I've had some people like, oh, we'll wash our dishes in the bathroom, or whatever. But there's appliance things you got to figure out, like, okay, do I need a sink? Do I need to have an oven or a stove or a microwave, or, where can I put these things so that we can continue to live here during this remodel? Because the kitchen's not going to be available. So, or refrigerator, where are we going to put our refrigerator? Things like that. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can go as far as there are companies that will rent mobile kitchens, trailers that have a fully equipped kitchen that you can put in your driveway and plug in. And that's an option as well, if that's something you want to do.
Okay.
Or
it's
you
kind of like an RV kitchen, just an RV kitchen.
That's it. That's what it is. It's just a trailer, and it's basically a kitchen, and you pull it in, plug it in, and there you go.
Wow.
Put the hookups on it, and it's good to go. Or you can do it camp style. I mean, use a camp stove in the living room. I mean, whatever. There's a lot of different options.
I know of a family who did camp style in the garage for like 4 months during a kitchen remodel, right? So
very common.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, any words of advice or misconceptions that you'd like to maybe clear before we close this up?
Advice. Plan ahead. I would say that. Take the extra time, do the plan, make sure you're 100% good with the way things look on paper first. Don't try to wing it. Winging it just makes the construction period more miserable and take longer. If you plan ahead, it's the whole ounce of prevention. Just take the time, make sure it's right before you start. If everything's lined up, all the materials are available, so there's no delays during the construction, it's going to make things go way smoother, and you'll be much happier in the end.
Perfect. So it sounds like then you might be suggesting start earlier rather than later, just to get the plan, the permitting, all that done. And then you can pull the trigger when you're ready because it's all in place.
Hey, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Take the extra time, get all that done ahead of time. Even if you're planning on, I've had some people take as much as a year to plan the whole thing out and get all their permits pulled and everything before they started. So also time of year, it's typically in California, time of year for the construction isn't as much of a concern, but this last couple of months, we've had a lot of rain that we don't normally get. So, keep an eye on that as far as depending on what type of remodel you're doing, if it's going to involve, opening up the roof, or if it's an addition, or, or taking down some of the existing house or anything like that. Time of year can play a part in it as well. So, but either way, plan ahead. Plan ahead. That's the big thing.
Perfect. Okay. So to get started with a remodel design process, how do you recommend people reach out to you? What's the first step?
Just give us a call, schedule an appointment. You can call us on our 888 number that's on our website. It's 888-497-6999.
Okay.
And or go on our website. We have social media. We're on all the different platforms there, or most of them, I guess. And if as far as schedule appointment with me, I'll come out and talk you through the first steps of it and recommend which direction you really should go depending on what you want to do. But that's really where the best place to start.
Okay, so it sounds like the initial appointment is going to be a planning meeting. If you can bring any photos or ideas from stuff you've done online, that would be really helpful for that initial meeting, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Chris, so much for sharing your wisdom, setting expectations. I know I learned a lot. So definitely anybody have additional questions, reach out to Craft Builders. You can go to their website. I believe it's craftbuilders.net. Is that right?
You got it. Yep.
All right. So they can look it up, see some pictures, and find the phone number there as well. So thank you, Chris, again for joining me today.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.